Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Today I am discussing the exercises of the respiratory system for class 9. First, earlier I studied exercises part 2 from the Ratna Sagar book. Today I am consulting with the book your Candid ICSE Biology, right? For class 9. Define the following terms. First one, asphyxia. Asphyxia, you are able to say it, increase in carbon dioxide concentration in the blood accompanied by deficiency of oxygen. What is asphyxia? Increase in carbon dioxide, axia, increase in carbon dioxide concentration in the blood accompanied by deficiency of oxygen, right? Expiratory reserve volume, that is ERV, volume of air that can be exhaled forcibly after normal expiration. What is external respiration? Diffuse of oxygen into the blood and carbon dioxide out of the blood through the surface of the respiratory organ. Hypoxia, deficient availability of oxygen to the body tissues than the required amount. It is deficient availability of oxygen to the body tissues than the required amount, right? Your next one, inspiratory reserve volume. Your inspiratory reserve volume of air that can be inhaled forcibly after normal inspiration. And tidal volume, volume of air that is approximately 500 ml inhaled or exhaled in normal breathing. The other terms also you can go through it. Now differentiate aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen. Its end products are carbon dioxide, water, and ATP molecule. One glucose molecule oxidizes 38 ATP molecules. Anaerobic respiration, it is incomplete respiration. It takes place in absence of oxygen, also known as the tissue respiration in the muscles or in the lower organs of the, it is incomplete oxidation of glucose. Here you release ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide, only 2 ADP molecules are released, whereas in case of aerobic respiration, 36 ATP molecules are released. It is complete oxidation of the food, it is incomplete oxidation of the food. Respiration and breathing. Respiration, exchange of gases among the cells and tissues of the body, it is respiration. And breathing, exchange of body from the atmosphere into your thoracic cavity in the lungs. Breathing, intake and outtake of gases, that is what you are studying in this chapter. This is the physical process. We take in oxygen through our nostril, through trachea, goes into the lungs, and then it is absorbed by your blood cells through the hemoglobin, and through the hemoglobin carbon dioxide is given out, and this carbon dioxide we exhale during exhalation, the process of breathing. Respiration in animals and plant. When we ask about respiration in animals and plants, here actually in plants the breathing does not take place because direct exchange of the gases takes place through the stomata, whereas breathing takes place except the few lower animals. In no transporting system for the transportation of oxycarbonate present, only diffusion of gases from cell to cell. Here blood vascular system is present in most of the animals, and transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place through the hemoglobin. Here very small amount of the heat is produced, here large amount of heat is produced. Green plant, they have additional oxygen source from photosynthesis, but in aerobic animals, they either air or water as a source of oxygen. Here rate of respiration is low, here rate of respiration is high. Carbon dioxide respiration is also utilized in photosynthesis in case of plant, but here carbon dioxide is released out of your body into the atmosphere. Same way, external and internal respiration. When we ask about it, internal respiration means diffusion of oxygen into the tissues from the blood and carbon dioxide, the tissues to the blood. When exchange of gases takes place in the lungs, There it is absorbed by the hemoglobin. When hemoglobin reaches to each and every cell through the circulatory system, then each and cell take in oxygen, oxidizes glucose in the mitochondria, and carbon dioxide is released. Whereas in external the respiration, diffusion of oxygen into the blood and carbon dioxide out of the blood through the surface of the respiratory organ, that is the respiratory organ, that is the lungs. Diffusion of oxygen into the blood and carbon dioxide out of the blood through the surface of respiratory organ. I hope it is clear. What is the function of pleural fluid from where it is secreted? Now just have a look over here. What are the functions of the pleural fluid and from where it is secreted? See, the pleural fluid is secreted by the pleural sac and performs the following functions. It protects the lungs from any kind of the mechanical injury and shock. It lubricates the lungs for the free expansion and relaxation. It keeps the lungs moist for proper functioning. Justify the statement that nose breathing is better than the mouth breathing. Yes, nose breathing is better than the mouth breathing, as in the nose occurs filtration of air by the hair, and the dust particles are other particles are not allowed to enter into the lungs. Sterilization of air by trapping pathogens in the mucus, moistening of air by the addition of mucus, and warming up of air by the radiating heat. What is the function of ribs, sternum, and diaphragm in breathing? See, during inspiration, volume of the thoracic cavity is increased by the combined movements of the sternum, ribs, and diaphragm. The sternum and ribs move upwards, forwards, and outwards by the contraction and external intercostal muscles. Diaphragm becomes straight. Whereas these activities of sternum, ribs, and diaphragm enlarge the thoracic cavity all around. During expiration, volume of the thoracic cavity is decreased by the inward and downward movements of the ribs and sternum and upward bulging of the diaphragm. Now same here in the same way, explain the process of breathing in man. See, process of breathing is complete in two steps, that is inspiration and expiration. Inspiration, the intercostal muscles contract, lifting the ribs upwards and outwards. The diaphragm muscles contracted, it flattens. The movement increase the volume of the thoracic cavity. As a result, the pressure of air inside the thoracic cavity decreases and becomes less than atmospheric pressure. Air is drawn into the lungs. Whereas in case of expiration, the intercostal muscles relax, letting the ribs drop downwards and inwards. The diaphragm muscles relax and the diaphragm returns to its resting position. The movement decreases the volume of the thoracic cavity. As a result, the pressure of air inside the thoracic cavity increases and becomes greater than atmospheric pressure. Air is forced out of the lungs into the trachea. Now the last question here. Now here you see at this question. Look at the figure of the experiment below alongside with the answers. What is the object of this experiment? The object of this experiment is to demonstrate the role of diaphragm in breathing. Label parts 1 to 5. See 1 to 5. This diagram is given, this 1 and 3. See this one, it is this is Y tube, this is your 1 and this is your 3. 2 is bell jar, number 3, 4 are balloons, number 5 is rubber sheet. Now, to which part of the human body are comparable parts represented 1 to 5? See, 1 is trachea, 2 is thoracic cavity, 3 is bronchi, 4 is lungs, and 5 is diaphragm. Now, what process is represented when the part level 5 is raised and lowered? See, when it is raised or the lower raised, it is inhalation or expiration. Lowered, as it is shown in the diagram, that is exhalation or expiration. If it is punctured, then the process will not take place properly. What is the function? This I told you. Now given below diagram showing the heart-lung association. Now here you see first one, it is the epiglottis, number 2 is larynx, 3 is trachea, 4 is lungs, 4 this one, it is they are the alveoli, This is they represented as a lungs. This is the pleural cavity. This one, that is the heart portion seen here. They are the lungs, and this is the esophagus tube running parallel to the trachea. Label the parts number 1 to 8 by guidelines. I told you already. Account for the difference in the composition of air 4 and V. 4 and 8 means in the 4, the air which is going out, and here which is going out, it has less oxygen, it contains more carbon dioxide, it is more moisture. When air is inhaled inside, the inhaled air, it contains more oxygen, less carbon dioxide, and less moisture. Now here, state the functions. Cilia lining in the sphincter, they help in the locomotion of air that takes place properly. Cartilaginous rings in trachea, they straighten the trachea so that trachea should not collapse. Bronchi, they also make it inflated. Hemoglobin found in RBCs, it helps in carrying oxygen and carbon dioxide. Pleural fluid in the pleural sac, we have already told you. Epiglottis, it does not allow food enter into the trachea. Diaphragm helps in respiration. State whether true or false. Respiration is an anabolic cavity, it is the false. Vital capacity represents the maximum capacity to the ventilation of the lungs. Yes, it is true. Person can expel whole of the air from the lungs. False. Exchange of respiratory gases takes place simultaneously. No. Respiration is a physical process and depends upon the principle of diffusion. No. Respiration is a both physical as well as chemical process. Respiration is a necessary evil. False. In hydroamnion, there is no respiration. False. They have the cutaneous respiration. Respiration takes place through the surface of the skin. The rate and depth of breathing is controlled by the thoracic cavity. Yes, it is true. How will you demonstrate that you have done? Name the structure. Guards the glottis and does not allow entry of food into trachea. It is epiglottis. Does not allow food to enter the nasal chamber through the internal layers, that is the internal nares. Supports the wall of trachea and does not allow to collapse. They are the cartilaginous rings only. They did not allow trachea to collapse. As well as bronchi also vary. That's why entire all air is not expelled out. 500 ml air already remain there inside your lungs. Helps in the production of sound, that is the vocal cords. Covers the lungs from outside, it is the pleura. We have done. Tabulate in percentage of partial air and oxygen, air inspired and expired air. Now see, look at this table. This is comparison inspired, expired and alveolar layer, partial pressure, partial of oxygen, carbon dioxide. Oxygen partial player in inspired air, it is 158. Partial 20s, where that is the inspired, and oxygen of the inspired air is 20.84 percentage, and expired air is 16.4, and alveolar layer is 13. Alveolar means which remains in the alveoli, जो alveoli में रहती है, जो हम बाहर फेंकते हैं एक्सपायर्ड एयर, वो 16.4% ऑक्सीजन, और जब हम इनहेल करते हैं तो उसमें 20.84% ऑक्सीजन होती है. और जो पार्शियल प्रेशर होता है, जब हम इनहेल करते हैं ऑक्सीजन तो 158 होता है, जब एक्सपायर करते हैं तो 160 होता है, और जो एल्विलर लेयर जो अंदर रहती है उसमें जो पार्शियल प्रेशर होता है वो 100 होता है. इसी तरह से कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इनहेल्ड एयर में 0.4% होता है, एक्सहेल्ड एयर में 4% होती है, और जो एल्विलर एयर जो एल्विलाई के अंदर होती है उसमें 5.3% होता है. पार्शियल पेपर इनहेल्ड, पार्शियल प्रेशर जो होता है इनहेल्ड एयर में कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड का 0.3 होता है, एक्सपायर्ड एयर में 32 होता है, जो उसके अंदर होती है उसमें 40 होता है. नाइट्रोजन का परसेंटेज इनहेल्ड एयर में 78.62 होता है, और जो एक्सपायर बाहर निकालते हैं उसमें 74.5% होता है, और जो एल्वेलाई में होती है उसमें 74.9% होता है. और प्रेशर जो होता है नाइट्रोजन, जब हम इनहेल करते हैं नाइट्रोजन को, इनहेल में जो गैस करते हैं उसमें 596 होता है, और जब हम एक्सहेल करते हैं तो उसमें 5.65 होता है, क्योंकि बाकी बॉडी में एब्जॉर्ब होती है, और जो एल्वेलर होती है उसमें 573 होता है. These terms you are supposed to learn, and remember they may be asked in your fill in the blanks, complete the table in any form they are supposed to be asked. जैसे रिजर्वायर ट्रेड है, टाइड एल्वेलर एयर 350 और जो डेड स्पेस है, इन दोनों में लाके 500 है, तो जो 500 इंस्पायरेटरी कैपेसिटी जो होती, जो हम इंस्पायर कर सकते हैं, इंस्पायरेटरी रिजर्व 3000 से 3500 होता है, 3500 में 5000 तो जो नॉर्मल में होते हैं, जो एक्सपायरेटरी रिजर्व जो हम, जब हम फोर्सिबली एक्सपायर करते हैं तो हम 100 ml करते हैं, इसीलिए जो रेसिडुअल वॉल्यूम होता है जो नॉर्मल 150 है, और टोटल लैंग कैपेसिटी होती है वो जो होती है 6000 ml लेयर की कैपेसिटी होते हैं, और इस 6000 कैपेसिटी में 1500 ml लेयर जो होता है वो जो हमारे हमेशा लंग्स में प्रेजेंट रहता है, उसको हम एक्सपायर देते, सिर्फ वो एयर रिप्लेस होती है जब हम गैस को इनहेल और एक्सहेल करते हैं। I hope everything is clear. Any doubt anywhere, you can ask me in the comment section. Again, we will meet in the next video. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and share the videos among your friends and relatives.